Hey, welcome back to round two of WOR racing. This week we're going to be in Japan, and we're going to jump right into qualifying. So I'm going to show you a little bit more just to get an idea what it's like. So first thing when we hop in, I'm going to load up my custom setup and check the weather. Custom setup you'll see in a minute because I like to flip through and just double check, make sure all these settings are where I want them. If you've never seen this before, these are all the different settings that we tweak when we create our setups for our car to make sure they feel the way we want them to. They interact the way that we drive. So if you look through everything from wing angle to roll
Everyone
bars, tire
ready?
pressures, everything.
Okay, let's go.
We're going to go ahead and jump right out right away. This just started seconds ago, so we'd be one of the first ones on the track. You'll see the qualifier session's a little different from F1. Instead of using the 3 rounds, which some leagues do use, this is only using 1, so it's going to give me about 13 minutes once I'm out there. And the basic concept is you're going to set 2 or 3 laps. First 1 or 2 would be banker laps, is what we call them, and it's something to fall back on. It's a safe lap. At the beginning of qualifier, the track is not as sticky anyway, so there's no point of pushing at the beginning. So I'm going to go to the mediums, and I'll explain that more in the race strategy. But we'll set this, we'll come back in, we'll do 1 round with the softs, and then at the end we'll try and go all out for a fast lap. The ripple went around, and I don't mind him being up there, as long as I don't have him too close once we start. It won't affect us, but I'm kind of watching him. He's having a bit of a tough time on the first lap, which is completely fair. It's not an easy track at all. It's very difficult. You can see that in the race. He goes up to the side, he comes back in, and he does kind of save it, but we just back off. I'm not interested in passing him. I don't really need to. But I'm going to try and find a safe spot, and seeing him go wide here kind of secures that too. I just don't want him to have an issue when I'm trying to set a fast lap and then I have to back off. But he's kind enough to let us by, which I really appreciate. It happens, it's tougher at the beginning. There's no traction in the track. But we're going to go ahead and finish off this lap, and we'll skip ahead to the start of our first hot lap and see if we can set a bit of a time for the qualifier. Since it's the beginning, there's not a ton of pressure, so it kind of helps get the nerves out as well. But coming around the middle section, so far we've got the fastest first sector, which is great. We're finishing up the sector, going around the car. He does yield to us, and I'll explain that later. But I guess we go through the straight. We set a fastest second sector, so this is actually looking pretty good. I know these times are not going to stay, and this is obviously going to get beat many times. But for now, it's a good start. Coming in the first sector, or the last sector, not as great. It still goes green, but it's not as fast, and it ends up kind of knocking me down. I think it probably would have been higher. I actually didn't check specifically how close it was, but puts me in P6 for now. This is going to drop quickly as guys come out. Plus, those guys out here at soft tires, which are much quicker, which is no problem. That's all right. We're going to go ahead and bring it back to the pits. We'll switch right away over to softs, and we'll get back out and do it again. I do check the overall lap times real quick. I just want a rough idea where things were, but I know that they don't really matter because now I'm going to switch to the softs. It's roughly halfway through the session.
We're ready to go.
So the idea is now I'm going to try and set a banker left on my softs. And this is so that when I do come back in, switch to a new set and go out last minute, if something happens, if a car gets in the way, if I invalidate it, if I was to spin, at least I have this lap I'm about to set to fall back on. So we're going to go ahead and re-enter the track and go at an out lap. So if you aren't used to this, the way that it'll work is we'll have one out lap where it's just about getting to the start basically and starting your lap, where you will then set your time. If you're on an out lap like this, you have to yield to the guys who are setting times on their hot laps. So you have to make sure to pull it away, slow down the best you can. But you're not supposed to completely leave the track either, so you got to find a good spot to kind of pull to the side. That one was a little tougher. The car that I just went around, he yielded to me. Either he thought I was on a hot lap or just wanted to give up the spot. Where you are doesn't matter, so you'll kind of space yourself as you like, and everyone's different. But as we come around the turn, we do another car coming through, so both of us will pull over. This time it's a little easier. We're on a straight. I know he'll go left. So we let him go by, and we can go ahead and start up. I went a little wide here, so just keep an eye behind me. I couldn't tell if they were all setting times or if they were just on out laps. But as we pull out, we can notice that they're not gaining. So even if they are setting times, we're not in their way. So I'm going to finish up the out lap now and just skip ahead to partway through the hot lap itself. doing well coming around at the end. We're up by about 0.6 of a second, which is not bad. We're currently in 8th, but like I said, we're going to try and set another lap later on fresher softs. So as we come across the line, it's not bad. We go from 8th to 5th, but we're going to go ahead and put on some fresh softs, and come out and do this one more time anyway. So it's a good spot to fall back on. So we pull to the right, just make sure there's no one coming. I kind of expected it, but no one there. So we'll finish this out. Let's head into the pits. Let's put on some soft tires. Let's get back out again. I'll skip past the out lap, and we'll just go right now to starting our last lap. Qualifier's just about to end, so this is the last possibility. Coming around the corner, I can see there's an issue up ahead. I can see the yellow flashing, but I can't quite see where this car is going to be. Problem here is I know he has to yield somewhere, but this section's brutal, and it's all flowing corners, so it requires a lot of momentum. And even right there, he yielded as much as he could. There's no good spot for him, so he didn't do anything wrong. But even that cost us 0.3, 0.4 of a second, and it keeps going. And because this whole section flows the way it does, when you ruin one corner, you've kind of ruined the lap. But I kind of know that, and it's not a terrible thing. I can't do anything about it now. I don't have another chance. But I definitely don't want to make up for it, because if I improved only by a little bit, I mean, I'm at 7th right now, but I'm assuming someone's going to beat me. When they beat me, it'll push me down, and if I can get to 11th, that means I start the race on whatever set of tires I want, and fresh ones. I'd be more than happy to sacrifice 1 or 2 positions to start on brand new tires. Obviously, it's an advantage, but I was praying for 11th. I ended up 10th, and with a grid penalty, it bumps me to 9th. So it's not the end of the world. We're going to go ahead and see what we can do. I mentioned race strategy in the beginning. We did the mediums at the beginning of qualifiers, so we'd have an extra pair of softs. Just in case at the end of this race we need to switch off the hards because of safety car. But I want to go soft hards. I'm going to lower the fuel as well just to make it a little lighter. I also extend the length just so my hards are a little fresher at the end if I end up still being on them. But we're going to go ahead and skip the formation lap. We'll go right into the race. Lights up. And we got 5 lights and lights out. Off we go. It's not the greatest start, but I'm also not trying to gain anything here. This corner coming up real fast, and I can see where a lot of issues are going to happen. I get a little distracted though, because that car kind of just legs out behind me. I get bumped real quick. 2 cars make it up the inside. I'm not completely upset about it. I got a little distracted when that happened. It kind of bugged me out for a minute. But I just wanted to fall in line, stay safe, get through this S section. I mentioned before how difficult this S really is. If you touch any of these curves, you'll spin. You'll see a lot of issues here throughout the race. We get one right off the start. I kind of assumed it was coming too. So this is actually pretty good for me, because it means the longer we stay on this virtual safety car, the longer I can prolong my tires. The problem is I get a bullshit penalty in this one, and you'll see it coming up here. So you can see the green time in the top right. When it goes red, it means I'm going too quick, and you're supposed to have a bit of time to correct that. So coming around this corner, I get a little too quick, and I'm expecting to get to correct it, but then the safety car ends, and then I get a penalty for speeding under the safety car, which I think is a bit of a bullshit penalty. I get that I was going too quick for the last little bit, but then normally you would have time to correct it, and I wasn't given that. So it's annoying, but there's nothing I can do about it. I've got no choice but to come in lap 1 and do a drive-through penalty. So the positions I had made, my qualifier, all that's useless, because now I'm going to the back. The only thing that's not going to put me dead last is that some people did need to pit because they probably had damages. So I have to do the drive-through, come on out, and now it's time to basically chase everyone else down. I have to attack now. I got to start and pretty far behind, about 15 seconds behind everyone else. The only thing that makes it not too concerning is that I know there's going to be many more issues in this race, and I'll have a chance to catch back up. So we jump ahead to lap 2. We're coming around trying to catch up to the cars ahead. We've actually made some pretty good advantage just in that one lap, if you notice the time difference. But we get lucky, we get a virtual safety car. It's not the same as a full safety car. I can't catch up to them, but I know I could sometimes gain some pace on them. I can't pass the delta time that's given to me, but sometimes people are even more cautious, and if I'm just on the edge, which unfortunately got me in trouble last time, it lets me gain some time.
Okay, clear.
So as the safety car, or virtual safety car ends, about a lap ahead, but we're 2 seconds up. Car ahead is on mediums, and we seem to be gaining pretty quickly. I actually see it dropping top left. You see the time to the car ahead of me. I'm going to pause it here real quick. You see the yellow flag just came on. the front right next turn. There's no car right now. As soon as it hits play, you're going to see the car pop up. It's ghosting right now, but it's just an issue with the game. You see how fast that goes by? If you pause that, it's less than a second from the time it actually shows on the screen to when I'm about to go right into it. Super distracting, really gets in the way. And it happens a few times. Coming around here, you've got the Ferrari, same kind of issue. You don't see it until last second. Luckily, both of those stayed ghosted though, so if I did hit them, it's not an accident. But I did have one, and I didn't clip it in here, and I honestly don't feel like going back to find it again, where they unghosted last second, and it almost caused an accident.
Your delta is negative,
but we skipped to lap 7. We are in 10th position right now, but we get a virtual safety car, and I know my teammate's looking for an opportunity to pit. I'm going to stay out, try and make up some positions. I know some people may pit here just because it's a virtual safety car, not as good as a safety car, but it's enough to try and lose some time. But as we come around the corner, my teammate unfortunately spins in the first turn. He does make it back in. He's a good driver, so he'll be okay. But we are up at 7th. We are going to ride this out here when it ends. We've got a few more laps before we want to go on to hards. But we'll see how this goes. The car heads on fresh mediums as well, so I'm expecting him to gain, but hopefully I can use them for a little bit of time to gain some position. But either way, we're going to jump ahead to lap 10, which is when we're going to pit. I was planning on doing it next lap, but luckily we get the safety car. This is a full safety car, so this worked out perfectly for us. We're going to go ahead and jump right into the pits now because we're just about to come up to it. We're going to put on the hards, and we're going to run these hards to the end. They have pretty good pace all the way through, plus with this track, it's incredibly difficult to overtake anyway. So I'm not too concerned about riding the hards to the end. It also gives me a chance to drop on some fresh softs since I saved a pair near the end of the race if it goes to another safety car, which I am expecting it because I've seen it a few times, and I can see when the tires are wearing out that people might end up losing it. So I'm going to put the hards on now just in case I do go all the way to the end. But if I do get a safety car within the last, let's just say 6-7 laps, I'll switch over, maybe even 8, I'll switch over to the softs and then just run softs for about 3 laps and see how many positions we can get. So anyway, we pull out and we're going to go ahead and start on our hard lap. What's good here is that because it's a safety car, as long as I'm not too slow, it's going to give me a chance to catch up to them. It's going to have me to catch the safety car queue. We'll follow the safety car queue for a bit until it ends up going out. So the only reason I wouldn't get a chance to start behind these guys is if I was super slow. But basically it's like a free stop. I get a chance to start on the back of them, and I lost a few spots. Wasn't quite paying attention to the corner. I was looking down, and they stopped kind of abruptly, so we managed to get around them. We lose a few spots. I really don't care. I made a small mistake, and it could have cost me if I hit the wall, so it's not the end of the world. But we're coming around here. We start accelerating to catch the pace in. We take the entire front wing. I had to stop. Like, when you pause, it will run on the AI. Since it's a safety car, it's not going to lose any spots or have any issues. But that, I mean, we'll chalk it up to racing incident, but I have no idea why they slammed on the brakes where they did. I went left to avoid it, and then the car in front of me, Jaguar, ripped left real wide as well, so we had nowhere to go. We ended up just hitting him. We have no choice. We have to come and we have to pit. We have to change the wing. We have to wait 5 seconds because we get a penalty for hitting him on a safety car. Then we have to wait to change the wing, so this is a huge blow. Not to mention we lose all the track position that we had and could have made up. We also can't go back on the exact same hards, and we don't have backup hards. So it also kind of screws the strategy over. I'm going to have to kind of just make it up as we go now. Yeah, it's super frustrating, but there's nothing I can do about it. I've got a lot of time still, and I am pretty close to points. My only goal this race is to get points anyway. So we're just going to go ahead and see how far we can make it. We come out, we have a blue flag ahead of us, which means it's actually a lap behind. So technically he's supposed to yield this spot as soon as he can. I don't really mind because it's ghosted for most of it, plus he's not really slow in the first place. If it was holding me up, I'd be a little pissed off. But he just does just keep going, and realistically he's not hindering my lap, so he doesn't really have to worry about it. He's just trying to make up as much time as he can to try and unlap himself, hopefully, later on. But we'll go ahead and skip ahead. He's still ahead for now. This is the next lap. It's not really bugging me, but he does go out to the left. It spins, but he's ghosted, so luckily it doesn't interfere with me on that one. We go ahead and get by him. It kind of sucks for his race, but let's keep going here. So we're sitting in lap 14. We're currently in 12th. I don't have to go that far here. The mediums are pretty solid tire right now. I know my teammates a ways to go. What I'm kind of counting on here is I'm hoping for a safety car. I'm hoping for some virtual safety cars to help me make up some of the time. I also know some guys that there were some penalties, so hopefully we can gain some pace. But as we go through, we're not really making it up at all. Our teammates on the same pace as us, but because of that, we're stuck back there. We're lucky enough to get a virtual safety car. We're on lap 18. So we do have to hold the time, but I'm hoping, and we do, to start to lap 17, look at the gap we've jumped. So we've got much less time to go now, but we don't have anyone else to tow on. We don't have any DRS, so it's quite tough to catch up. So lap 17 now, we're turning to racing. The gap right now is not in 20s anymore. You know, we're low teens, 12, 13, but we're not going to be able to catch them as is. Our tires are wearing the same rate his are. We've got some wear going on. It's not bad. Lap 22, we probably could have gone to the end, but I was kind of worried that I wasn't going to make it. But we do get that safety car I was expecting. We're going to go ahead and pit, take the softs. Retrospect, I maybe could have stayed out, but my thought was if I was to go on softs, I know some guys on penalties, I'm going to be right behind them anyway. So if I don't pass them, I still get points just by inheriting them. But I also expect that I know my pace is good. I know some guys will make some mistakes. I expect that this, maybe, if lucky, I can probably get around 7th pretty easily. And then if I might even be able to push and start to compete around, 5th, 4th. I don't expect podium, but I could be challenging pretty close. So we'll go ahead and we'll come out on a lap. We're going to get to go right up behind the queue before it starts out. And there's always at least 2 laps of the virtual safety car, the safety car. So I know we're probably going to have maybe 2 or 3 laps to actually fight it at the end. And you can see everyone's on softs now. So it's basically just going to be a dash to finish. I don't want to have any issues. I don't want to push any penalties, but now's not the time to be super cautious and
let's get ready to go
and not make a spot. We're sitting in P11 right now. All we have to do is get 1 point, and we're in points. We had a rough race last race, so we need to try and make as many points as we can here. So hopefully the deeper we can get, the better. But as we start, races go, and I'm not going to jump them right off the bat. I'm expecting actually in the first or second turn to have an accident anyway. So I'm going to wait for that so I don't get involved and can make that spot up. And as we come around the first turn, he does all right, but we do have one of the cars spinning out, so we did dodge that one. I'm going to watch him through a little bit more. I could have been more aggressive here, but as he made that move, I'm not really sure. It was a lot of slowing down too. I think he probably came close to spinning. But as he made the move, I know that there's a chance he's probably going to make more errors in the section. It's a very hard area anyway. You've seen how many cars have spun or had issues there. So I'm going to stick with him. There's also a lot of cars ahead that are going to challenge each other, so there's a lot of ways this could play out, especially this turn coming up. It could bunch up really well, so I'm going to play it safe here. I do see that he goes right, and my mistake was following him. At the moment it felt safest because I wasn't sure if any of those cars were going to hit each other, have issues. But in retrospect, if I had gone the inside, I probably would have caught up to him sooner. Not a big deal though. I'm just going to follow him for now. I know in the S's he's got a potential for having an issue. So right now, really just I'm kind of studying to see where I've got options. I'm looking for big enough airs that I can optimize on. I think for a second I kind of forget that there's so little laps because I probably should have been a little closer. If there was a mistake here, for example, I'm too far to make up for it. But I was just kind of playing it safe. I didn't want an issue. I can see they're battling here, so I definitely am not. I'm not interested in lunging here. There's a good chance one of them could have connected there anyway. If they decided to go 2 or 3 wide, we'd have a problem. This lap, we're going to go ahead and push. We need to try and make up some spots now and get some points. We already got 1, but we want to see as much as we can get. So let's push up on him here, but I want you to pay close attention because this is where it's going to all go real wrong. So we're following him through the S's here. We're expecting him to possibly lose some time as he did last time. So let's just keep pushing up on him. If we can't get him here, we'll get him right after. But I want to watch here. I'm looking at him, and the second he goes right, there's a car stop left. My eyes do flick immediately to the left to see why, but honestly, it was so fast, I couldn't react in time. If I had followed him right through, I would have been okay, but my first thought was he was just going wide. So as my eyes moved in, there's nothing I could do about it. Car stopped down on the track, rammed him, and second last lap kind of robbed of points there. It's obviously incredibly frustrating. if I hadn't hit him, I would have gained that position, putting me 9th. I know I would have taken the guy ahead, or at least fairly confident I would have, based on the pace advantage I had on him. So yeah, it's tough when it's so close to the end. A lap and a half more, and I would have had my first points. And I was kind of looking for a bit of redemption after the last race too, because it was kind of a rough one. So I corrected those mistakes, and I was hoping to show the progress. But yeah, we're gonna have to do it next time. But there's nothing we can do about it. So congrats to the guys who finished on top. You guys did a good race, and to everyone else on the board there. And we'll practice for China next week, and I'm pretty confident we can get some good results.